everyone. Thanks, Divya, for the introductions. And it's always a pleasure to be at Manipal. This is what I say my favorite Saturday morning time. And I was talking on the sidelines with Dr. Ramesh, and one of the things I promised as part of 2018 beginning, I said, I will repeat portion of my slides and rest will something what I'll reinvent. And that's what I've done yesterday, and that's one of the reasons the slides came in the morning. The interesting part, and most of you will take a journey from here to data science, analytics, AI. Interesting part of this industry is every time it's been challenged, we have something new coming up. While there is always a sense from the skeptics that, hey, this industry of analytics, data science is not sustainable, too much of churn, too much of challenges around understanding knowledge, gaining new kind of, let's say, skills area. But let me tell you, I'm in 15 years into this industries, and I have some of my folks out here, known ones, spending that much of time in the industries. It's been a phenomenal journey. The journey has resonated with a very clear manifestation that if we are in this industry of analytics, data science, AI, it's because for the passion of the industry, nothing else. And this is where what I say would make someone lose or win in this whole analytics AI journey, because if you have passion to learn, you will make it. And one small pivot we always say in this industry is no one is an expert. We're all learning. So if you happen to hear even from your super bosses that he or she is an expert, take it as a pinch of salt, because we're all learning in this game. So what I have at this part of a presentation for the next 25, 30 minutes is I've taken an aggregation of what all has happened in the last 15 years. Why we are saying so much about analytics, data science, and now artificial intelligence in the same flow. What applications, what kind of has gone in terms of the industries adapting this whole set of, I would say, the new normal of analytics, data science, and AI, and what could be a future forward-looking aspirational path, what this industry will go through. By no means this is conclusive, because as we unravel all these new, what we say, technologies, and true what Dr. Yogesh said in the preliminary talk, I think we've moved a long way in terms of what technology, of what we used to say information technology to insights today, has taken a very, very different stride. 15 years back, many of us who were trying to kind of get into this whole field, which is what we called analytics, data science, AI, and I'll try to use all these three in the same context. Honestly, at that point of time, there was nothing called analytics. There was something called MIS. And this was something which was for the truly CXO level. Most of the MIS was either being churned by the CIOs or their departments, the IT departments, or by their executive assistant. And it used to have 4 or 5 different segments of the top line, revenues, SGA, some of those key metrics. And if the CXO is happy, there's no further information is required to kind of really churn or make it, more meaningful. And that's how the whole genesis of what we say, the analytics started. At some level, you can't just create an MIS and expect insights, decisions to come out of it. And we never realized at some level, you can even start predicting the decisions through the usage of analytics AI. And this is what we say, that if we take a sequential order of the journey of analytics, what was MIS 15 years back? Got into this whole suite of ERP coming into the picture, the enterprise resource planning, functional departments came together, there was a consolidated P&L which started getting reported on a daily basis. From ERP, there is a whole surfeit or a new set of business intelligence and data warehousing tools which came in, the MicroStrategies, Teradata's of the world. Now these tools were very good with so much of data being culled out from so much sources in terms of mining, The ETL as a concept came into the picture. Then the whole aspect of what we say that the sources of data started coming from multiple channels. We always used to say, okay, once you study organization, enterprise data, proprietary data, good enough. Not anymore. What came in since what can happen in 60 seconds with large number of data being kind of, let's say, coming together from various channels. Let's look at one analogy where we say that if you take a car dashboard analogy, on the left side, what you see is a hindsight. To the right, which is the upstream of a predictive analytics, this is what it goes through. And that's where we say when you look at how business intelligence and data warehousing tools started mining the data, a new description of the genres of analytics came into the picture, right from what we say descriptive to prescriptive. Now, by the way, as a caveat, this is all dated because what we are talking used to happen. But that's how the journey, or what we say the history of analytics has been. But all these genres of analytics came with one aspect which is very, very resonating for all of us who've used and consumed analytics, is at some level it has to start providing meaning to the organization in terms of taking decisions. Because prescriptive analytics came with a very, very clear aspect that, look, you got to change the organization in terms of how different departments, functions will start taking decisions. And then came the whole aspect of what we say, digital. Now, this is one aspect which still a lot of skeptics say that we are not sure what digital wave is all about. But there is one aspect which also says that today, Dr. Yogesh talked about the whole set of data being everywhere. I mean, we're talking about technology having a Moore's law, 12 to 18 months, it's all having an obsolescence cost. But there is one aspect of what we say, transformation. Digital is one of the pivot where transformation has happened within the enterprises very, very radically. And transformation has three dimensions through digital. One, we've started analyzing how customers needs to be reimagined in terms of their treatment, whether how they consume products, how they experience products. And Apple is a pure example. They don't go through the categories, they create their own categories. And this is where what we say that if you look at how the reimagining of the customer experience basis the data analytics has taken place, it's a very different ball game altogether now. The second aspect is what we say, how we innovate product and services. This is the new wave of transformation, that innovation in the existing product and services is table stake today. It's given that it's got to happen, otherwise you're out of the game. And the third aspect is, gone are the days when strategy used to be a 5 years, 10-year thing. We are changing strategy every day, and that's where the new models of business and operations have come into the picture. And this is something when we say that if you take this all together, the customer experience being changed or redefined, the business model also getting morphed in a different avatar, and also the innovation in product and services, we call it nexus of forces. This is the term which was coined by Gartner, where amalgamation of technologies, and these technologies are either the frontier technologies or, as we call in our own parlance, exponential technologies, will change the game for the enterprises. And this is one aspect which I wanted to highlight. So when the change happens in terms of MIS moving to the whole new world of analytics to the prescriptive layer, it also gave a lot of meanings to what we say, how the analytics is getting consumed within the organization and how the organizations within the industries of banks, insurance, retail. I mean, you look at some of these aspects where analytics is getting consumed or redefining the organization. These kind of areas were not there a few years back. We are talking about branchless banking. We are talking about cryptocurrencies. And I don't know how many of you invest in all these new cryptocurrencies, but there is a fact today, the underpinning of all this is algorithm, all analytics being run over there. Retail, the whole set of experience of you walk into a store and you are being greeted with a coupon of the same product what you bought 1 month back is astonishing. Your iris, eye scans are being done as you walk into the retail stores, and basis you are being guided where you actually shopped last time. Insurance, the surveys are happening on the spot through drones, and the premiums are getting calculated back to the customers in few seconds. Now, these kind of scenarios, when happens, the first fundamental question we ask, are these sustainable? And often it happens under this whole curiosity, we say maybe it's a passing fad, but it's not. Because the fact is, this is exactly what happened in analytics. 10 years back, we always used to say, hey, this industry will not remain innovative, it will die a premature death. And today in 2018, we are saying that 5 years from henceforth, this is the industry which will revolutionize every aspect of what we do. And some of that I'll try to explain in my subsequent slides. Just a few more examples in terms of the media, healthcare, manufacturing. Netflix. One prime example, what you watch is what you also started getting in a phase where Netflix is watching your patterns of whatever is kind of coming as part of the streaming content and all. And then ability to curate new sessions of videos, content is something which is very different ball game altogether. Manufacturing, this is one industry which over the last few years was languishing lower in terms of consumption of analytics, but in the last 3 years, because of IoT revolution has taken a big jump. One aspect of what we say preventive asset maintenance, anything in terms of a device or a machine has a propensity for a failure. What if the device comes with a predictive understanding of when it is likely to malfunction or fail? And this is what is happening in the whole aspect of manufacturing, where devices are being analyzed, the machines are being kind of put forward in a motion where you can take forward the predictive maintenance of those machines. So if we take a very different jump in terms of what we say that while data is inherently dumb, what's making this entire set of aspects of transformation in industries coming together? The underpinning or the bedrock of all this is algorithms. Now, this is where we say algorithms are the ones which are redefining organizations, individuals, and I'll take a jump in terms of humanity as well. And the right examples, some of them very representative, are in front of you. All these industries or other organizations are driven by nothing but algorithms. The Netflix, Uber, Pandora, Facebooks of the world. The genesis, the secret sauce of being successful and displacing the the top Fortune 500 companies is all because of their algorithms, IP, patented and all. Now, if you take a fast forward aspect of algorithms running organizations and being very pervasive, embedded, smart in terms of taking decision, what will happen to the enterprises in the next few years? Some of these predictive scenarios is one, the organizations, in fact, many of them are already becoming math houses. Dr. Yogesh mentioned about a lot of these organizations becoming software organizations or just leaning on the coding in terms of any new asset or IP to be patented. In fact, it's all about algorithms because they will start churning so much of data, they will have so much of IP patented algorithms across their functions, departments, that most of the decisions will be based on those algorithms. And this is what we say that what we used to kind of predict has also started happening with the coinage of the term algorithm economy. Think of this scenario, and this is very, very probable going to happen very soon. And one of the, I would say, aspect of excitement, I always say that if you missed the Bitcoin wave, start investing in algorithms. I can tell you, this is the next wave of monetization. The reason is, think of this scenario. Organizations have business challenges today, and those business challenges have a shelf life. If you don't solve, you're out. What if those business challenges across have unique IP patented algorithms? Organizations will start taking those IP patented algorithms, could be running into millions across, to the market, because they want to monetize those. They want to kind of see how it can have mass adoption in terms of different industries. And that aspect will give rise to algorithms getting traded. Just like you have stocks, you have commodities getting traded. You can buy, sell algorithms basis what you want to pay for that in terms of the market value. Now this is where algorithms, not only which will predict customer behavior, look at the fraud anomaly detection, look at any kind of, let's say, malware, malfunction and all. It could be an algorithm which will start even defining the emotions of how humans behave. And it's all possible, something which I'll just try to reflect in the next few slides. And that's where we say that eventually, it's not far away. Some of the organizations are attempting to do this thing in the board meetings. Come, one Mr. Algorithm sitting somewhere virtually, also discussing what could be the fate of the organization in the time to come. And some of you may ridicule this thing, but I'll give you some of the example how it's happening in the real world today, in the instances of the organizations which are using these algorithms. But with every bright aspect, there is always what we say, the flip side. Look at this slide. The price of the book, which was, of course, being computed by the algorithm going wrong, gives a different aspect of the price when it comes to this book. And this is what it happens. Many of the instances you've seen how Facebook algorithms going wrong can create a havoc. So it's always with a word of caution, with our existing set of knowledge, what we have today and what we also disseminate to any aspiring professional, that please treat these things with respect, because anything has an innate ability to go wrong. Now, the other aspect of this is today, while all this is fine, we have moved a long way in terms of what I say analytics journey. What's coming up next today is what we say. How much of us today are getting influenced by the decision what we are making in terms of saying, do I take my decisions on my own or do I take an external help? Now, if you see this left side of one of the survey we compiled very recently, 58% of the decisions we take, tactical, operational, strategic, are all experience-based. Intuition, gut kind of a thing, and many of us who are married also take our decision through our spouses actually. But there is a fundamental belief also over there, and this is all proven in what we say the world of behavioral science, that as human beings, we are predictably irrational. And that's why this left side of the survey is not wrong. Now, this is what which will start happening, which will start happening very soon. Algorithms will start taking decisions for you, for organizations, and for the humanity. Now, the art of decision making, what we say, and decision making comes with 3-4 fundamental aspects that look, at the end of the day, the decision has to make meaning to me in terms of my own materialistic world, if I use as an individual. So what happens when you start taking decision? There are 3 aspects to this which will make the pointer. And this is something you can't control by algorithm. So no, I want to move to the next. So there is something what we say art of sound decision making and how analytics will enable this thing. Now we are moving to the world where there's something which has come in, what we say artificial intelligence. Now, it's been all there. I mean, artificial intelligence has been used for a number of years. But one of the aspect which, in a simple, lucid manner, the consumption of analytics on a mass level has driven one aspect that can we start mimicking human brain and enabling humans to take better decision. So what will happen if we take three aspects of what we say sound decision making, and we call it in our own language trifecta of better decision making. One, you have what we say that how the augmented intelligence take place. Simple aspect of taking external internal data, dovetailing and start making meaning out of it. The second aspect of this enablement is what we say artificial intelligence that expect humans to do the job which they are meant out to be and let the other jobs be handled by machines. And we know that there is a lot of debate around this thing. Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk talking about the relevance or non-relevance of AI. The third aspect, which is what is unique and not discussed but is gaining a bit of mainstream momentum, is behind all this thing, you got to also understand the human behavior. The manifestation of that is the Nobel Prize, which was won by Mr. Richard Thaler for the nudge theory, that eventually humans are meant to consume things if they are nudged, not when they're enforced. Some of these examples I'll take, on the augmented intelligence piece where the data from different sources, disparate channels come together. On the left side, first example, while the Facebook example is fine, I was giving this thing in my last talk at this particular venue itself. A lot of earning calls today are being analyzed by different private equity hedge funds. Earning calls essentially are to determine where the financials of an organization stand. Good in terms of numbers, what get displayed, but one of the aspects today, it's being analyzed by a lot of analytics folks where they're trying to analyze the image, video, text, and the voice aspect of how the CEOs are coming on the stage. Any lump in their throat is construed as a weakness in terms of the financials, what they're trying to display. And one of the aspect of other, what we say is, if you see many of these earning calls also have the CFO sitting on the left or right of the stage. And if the CFO, with all due regards, have a poker-faced expression, that means there's something wrong in those reports. That's how, to the extent of this whole aspect of what we say, data coming from different sources, getting captured through video, image, voice, and using the whole power of analytics is coming together. The second example out here, what you see are just number of cars in one parking lot. This is nothing but one of analytics company in a real world example analyzing the number of expected footfalls in a retail mall, and basis that they want to extrapolate what could be the next quarter earning of that retail chain for that particular year. Looks very, very improbable, but that's what is happening. The number of cars in the parking lot extrapolated to the earnings, what that retail company will have in the next quarter. And talking about artificial intelligence, and this is very interesting. There is something what we say that, okay, while it's fine to mimic human behavior, the computational power, the whole mathematical IP ability of the organization going strong. So what will happen in terms of the AI? So if you see as a part of mimicking the human, there is 4 aspects of process, act, learn, and perceive. And across this 4 aspects are what we say the offerings of artificial intelligence, which is making somewhat resemblance to how the decision making for the humans can be accelerated. And I'll give some examples in terms of artificial intelligence. This gentleman on the right is perpetually blind. Mr. Saqib Sheikh from Pakistan, he's in US, settled over there. He got a very big help from Microsoft cognitive department. He got a set of glasses. Perfect. Now, most of us will see that, okay, glasses are okay, maybe he can start visualizing some of the things. But what Microsoft has enabled for Mr. Saqib Sheikh is phenomenal. He will wear glasses every time he steps out of his home. These glasses have an innate aspect of not only forecasting what's ahead. Maybe, and this is one example, maybe a guy who's wearing beige color trouser with a navy blue jersey on a skateboard, that's fine. But this is all being kind of computed in a way where he is being narrated every 5 meters what's ahead of him. So the voice through the audio phones is coming to him that there is a guy 10 meters ahead of him wearing these set of attire and on a skateboard. You want to meet him, you want to kind of say him hi. This is the part of what we say artificial intelligence in terms of a mass usage. Other big industry which is getting revolutionized in artificial intelligence arena is healthcare. And I won't be surprised at some level, with all due regards, some of these jobs, as we say, will start getting into a different spin altogether. The first job, what I see is a job of a radiologist. Now, radiologists in all medical field are highly respected. It's a very difficult field to kind of acquire and master, but what artificial intelligence is doing is the fast-forward imaging of any kind of X-ray. What a radiologist takes 15 minutes today to kind of identify any kind of a symptom or ailment in any part of your body will be getting done by artificial intelligence in 4 seconds. Tons of companies doing this kind of a work, but the aspect is very clear that how we can start looking at the right usage of artificial intelligence in healthcare industry. Other example of artificial AI out here is, this is one of image of a large Amazon warehouse. I mean, one of the warehouse Amazon possess. Not only through the video images getting captured on a real-time basis, the feeds are being sent to the central department, but any aspect of the productivity getting lost or any delays in terms of the shipments of a particular order is also being analyzed through the usage of artificial intelligence. And this is where what we say that there is a step momentum in terms of, while the normal analytics usage would say, okay, let's start predicting any kind of a trespassing or any kind of a, let's say, threat of security, but they're going a bit further by saying, let's also start analyzing the productivity of the folks or the workers being in those areas through artificial intelligence. Look at this example. Can we have the audio, please? I'll run it again once the audio is live.
Baseman! 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 Let's go, let's go! Over here, over here! No, come on, come on, come on! Side! Grenade! Good shot! Wilson, quick throw. And it's intercepted! Oh no! Malcolm Butler stepped in front of the throw! Oh my God! We did it, guys! We did it!
So what you see in this example, this is a Super Bowl final match in US a couple of years back. One spot of ad in a Super Bowl match is $1 million plus out here. But what the marketeers are trying to analyze, if you didn't notice carefully, is this. The relative spots of the brands being displayed and being shown in that 30-second coverage is being analyzed through deep learning algorithms in terms of the next edition of Super Bowl, where the brands should be advertised and what kind of space they should occupy. So what you saw, Gatorade, Microsoft Surface, these are all strategically placed. How it needs to be done, it's all through algorithms taking place at that point of time. One more example, and this is something what I say very true and very interesting. I don't know if some of you are using this thing, but very prevalent in amongst the kids, but adults should look as well. How do you start looking at the whole aspect of your brushing the teeth activity, which is mundane, up in the morning, no one wants to do that, but make it interesting, but with a aspect of the behavior. So there is an app of Oral-B. Once you download that app, the app actually will start calculating the time what you kind of consume in terms of brushing your teeth. The idle time should be 2 minutes, and many of us don't do that for 2 minutes. So what the app will do, if you brush for less than 2 minutes, the app after that will show you emoji in a red manner, which means it's not good. And if you do it, let's say for 1 minute, it's like emoji will really turn bad in terms of different expression. But if you do it for 2 minutes, there is a right smiling emoji. And not only the pattern, and this is quite, I would say, interesting for the kids, because that's where you cultivate those practices around these aspects. But in the behavioral science, we always say that, look, at some level, the nudge piece of inculcating habits dovetailed with the understanding of the data of the consumer will give you new product experimentations to be done on a mass level. And this is where I come to the last part of the decision making in terms of behavioral science, that it's something which has been there today, that if we talk about the aspect of how do you activate the stimuli of an individual in terms of a right behavior. And this is true for organizations, for humans and individuals, and even humanity and society, that the theories around carrot and stick is fine, but there is one theory called nudge, that how do you start simplifying understanding of those behaviors and telling humans that this is how the decision needs to be taken. And I'll give you one example in terms of a live video out here. Can we have the audio, please, for this? Explained out here, and next time you cross the roads on a red light, you'll be much more kind of aware that this is not to be done. A social campaign being run in Paris where they said, look, everyone is aware of the pitfalls and the fatalities which happens on the road when you cross, but it still doesn't deter people, pedestrian, to cross red lights. Created a campaign with the help of our analytics and a behavioral science organization where your mock-up images comes right if you cross the red light. This is without the accident. And this is where what we say, that the decision-making through the usage of behavioral science becomes much more amplified when we start using analytics and AI. So what happens as part of the takeaway when we say that at some level, as an individual, we are all about augmenting our intelligence, never send a human to do a machine job, because this is what fundamentally will get challenged. And a lot of that, what Mr. Yogesh said in the morning, is about while the jobs are getting displayed, a lot of jobs are about the skills which have outlived their utility. You see tall skyscrapers, some of those folks hanging at 100 feet and kind of trying to clean the exterior facades of the building. That can be simplified through AI. That can be purely a kind of a human-machine collaboration. Let the machines do that job, and let the humans do something meaningful. And the last is all about, let's make this world more about the human first and then the AI piece, because there's so much of relevance and rhetoric being around AI. I think it's fine. One of the example out here now, when we say to the last part of this, it's all fine. There is a huge today aspect of understanding and trying to kind of implement a lot of this AI. Where does it lead? 3 examples I give, and this is something what I consider the best examples of everything coming together in terms of this augmented intelligence, AI, and human behavior, or behavioral science as we call it, the company called Google. And to the point what Dr. Yogesh said, yes, G is trying to transform themselves into a software company. Google also has an engineering set of mind. There are coders on the floor, 14,000 of them, all doing coding of different applications, different kind of scenarios, being enabled by a lot of domain experts who want to build applications, microservices on top of that. Second example we all know is Amazon. How do you build the scale? How do you kind of build that phenomena which is not there? And the last aspect, which everyone knows, is Apple, creating a new segment and a category of its own. And this is where we say, as part of all of you who are aspiring to be into data sciences, that you got to explore and experiment. This is one area, one practice and field where nothing is conclusive. A model algorithm is also having a champion-challenger mode as well. The second aspect is what we say, the feedback. If you interact amongst each other, try to incorporate feedback. A lot of those, what we say, cross-pollination of ideas is important to be relevant in this field. Second aspect is what we say, that have a breadth and depth of understanding. While you understand the challenges of statistics, AI algorithms, try to understand how industries behave, how they kind of react to certain situations, and also how industry capabilities like banking, like kind of, let's say, insurance, are also getting transformed. This is what my summation is. Happy to have any questions if you have. Thank you so much.